Look at the back of your mom's hand, or your dad's, your grandmother's. Oh, there's a good chance there's a small dark spot there. One that wasn't there a few years ago. And I'd bet almost anything nobody in your family has ever had it looked at. Because everyone just assumes it's a mole, a sign of getting older. Nothing. Here's what they don't know. After the age of 30, your skin almost stops making new moles. So that spot that showed up out of nowhere, whatever it is, it's not that. Most of the time, what it actually is turns out to be completely harmless. I'll show you exactly what that looks like, so you can stop worrying about it. But every so often, not often, but it happens that harmless spot is wearing a disguise. And it's sitting on the skin of someone who has no idea because it looks exactly like the harmless one. By the end of this, you'll be able to tell them apart in about 10 seconds. On your own skin and on the people you'd never forgive yourself for not noticing. Let's start with the one you're most likely looking at, because once you see it, you'll start spotting it everywhere. It has a name that sounds far scarier than it is. Seborrheic keratosis. Forget the name. What matters is what it looks like, because it shows up on almost all of us eventually. Here's how common we're talking. These tend to start appearing in your 30s and 40s. And by the age of 60, the vast majority of adults have at least one, often several. It's one of the most ordinary things that happens to human skin as it ages. And that spot on your mom's hand, this is almost certainly what it is. You just never had a name for it. So what does it actually look like? The classic description is a spot that looks almost stuck on, like a little piece of wax or candle drip pressed onto the skin, sitting on top rather than growing out of it. The color ranges from pale skin tone to light brown, all the way to nearly black. The surface can be waxy and smooth or rough and dry, almost crumbly. And here's a detail that trips people up all the time. Sometimes someone panics because their mole suddenly looks darker. But it's not the spot changing, it's fake tan getting trapped in the little grooves of the texture, making it stand out more than usual. Completely harmless. But it's exactly the kind of thing that sends people into a spiral for no reason. Now here's the good news, and you can breathe out. These are not dangerous. They don't turn into cancer. They're one of the few things on your skin you genuinely don't have to worry about once you know that's what you're actually looking at. But that last part is everything, because knowing it's harmless only helps you if you can be sure that's what it is. And that's where we need to slow down. So why do we get these in the first place? Honestly, even the experts don't fully know. The two things we're most confident about are simple: genetics and age. Yeah. If your parents got a lot of them, there's a good chance you will too. So look at their skin, and you're partly looking at your own future. And the older you get, the more you tend to collect. Long-term sun exposure plays a role too. Some grow right out of old sunspots. There's also a pattern worth knowing. They love areas of friction under the breasts, in the folds of the stomach, under the arms, around the neck, right where a necklace or a collar rubs all day. That rubbing can make one irritated, and an irritated one can get itchy, catch on clothing, even bleed a little. That's usually the moment people finally go get it looked at. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's annoying. One more thing, and this matters if you've got an older relative. Sometimes a whole cluster of these can suddenly erupt after a bad sunburn or after starting certain medications, including some cancer treatments. So if someone you love breaks out in these seemingly overnight, now you'll understand what's happening instead of fearing the worst. But yeah, and this is the part that makes this video worth finishing. I've spent all this time telling you these are harmless. Here's the catch. They can be sneaky, and some things that are not harmless can disguise themselves to look almost exactly like them. This is the part I actually need you to remember, because a harmless spot and a serious one can look like cousins at a glance. And the difference is a short list of warning signs. Doctors who work with skin use a simple checklist, and you can use it too. 5 letters: A, B, C, D, E. A is for asymmetry. Let's imagine folding the spot in half and the two sides don't match. B is for border. Harmless spots tend to have a clean, well-defined edge. Be cautious of ragged, blurry, or irregular borders. C is for color. One even color is reassuring. Several colors mixed into one spot is a reason to get it looked at. D is for different. This one's powerful. If a spot looks unlike all the others, doctors call it the ugly duckling. That's the one to pay attention to. And E is for evolving. Anything actively changing. Growing quickly, changing shape or color, that's your signal. And a few more in plain terms. A spot that's growing fast. One that scabs over, seems to heal, then opens up and scabs again in the same place. Or one with a little sunken center that won't close. None of these mean panic, but all of them mean the same thing. Don't guess. Get it looked at by someone trained to tell the difference. Because here's the honest truth. The reason this video matters isn't the harmless spots. It's that a real problem caught early is usually simple to deal with. And a real problem ignored for months because someone assumed it was just a mole is a completely different story. The longer something serious sits there unchecked, the harder the road becomes. That's why knowing these 5 letters is worth 2 minutes of your life. So let's say you've got one, you've run the checklist, and it's clearly one of the harmless ones. What now? First thing to know, you don't have to do anything. These are cosmetic. If it doesn't bother you, there's no medical need to touch it. Most people just leave them alone once they know they're safe. But if one catches on your clothes or sits somewhere that gets irritated or you simply don't like it, there are options. And that's a conversation for a professional, not something to attempt at home. I'll say it plainly, please don't scrape, cut, or pick these off yourself. People do, and they almost always grow right back because there's a little cluster of cells underneath that has to be properly handled, and doing it yourself risks scarring, infection, or missing something that needed a real diagnosis. The gentler at-home things people ask about, certain moisturizing creams that soften and smooth the skin, can sometimes make these look flatter over time. But be clear-eyed. Softening is not removing. They won't disappear, and they won't stop new ones from forming. There's genuinely nothing you can do to prevent them. So the goal was never prevention. The goal is knowing what you're looking at and knowing when a spot has earned a closer look. And that's the whole thing. So here's where we land. Most of the spots that appear on our skin as we get older are completely harmless. And now you know the name for the most common one and exactly what it looks like. But you also know the 5 signs that turn probably nothing into let's get that checked. That knowledge is small. It takes 2 minutes, and one day it might matter enormously for you or for someone you love. So did this for me. The next time you're with your mom, your dad, your grandparents, look at their hands, their arms. You might see one now that you know what it is. If it's one of the calm ones, you'll feel relief instead of fear. And if it ticks a box on that checklist, you'll know to gently say something. That's not being dramatic. That's the kind of thing that changes everything. Caught early. Tell me in the comments, had you ever heard of this before today? I read everyone. And if this was useful, send it to the one person in your family who never gets anything checked. You know exactly who I mean. I'll see you in the next one.